James Cordero is a coordinator at the Border Angels, which is a non-profit organisation focused on issues related to US-Mexican border migration. He joins us live from San Diego, California. Thanks very much for your time. Just give us a little bit more information and insight into the current situation on the border right now.
Yeah, so right now what CBP, Customs and Border Protection, is having is called metering. So what they're doing is every asylum seeker that's coming to the border, they're limiting how many of them can get out there at once. So they've moved where they're checking people in to the actual country line, because once you're inside the U.S., then you'd be able to apply for asylum. But since they're bringing their lines up to the actual border, they're not letting people get onto U.S. soil to apply for asylum. They're putting them in lines, telling them to come back on a certain date, certain time, and it could be weeks, it could be months. We were talking to a lot of people who have been there almost upwards into a year. And so what they want to do is move people into camps, which are not safe. The government-run camps, they do not, they don't provide like they should. We've seen inside the camps that have been run by the government that they are not what you'd think they would be. And so it's not safe for people to be there under the Return to Mexico, Remain in Mexico program. So it's just it's a bad situation going on right there.
And if it's not safe for people in the camps, what's it like for the tens of thousands of other Central American asylum seekers that have been living in Mexico for months as they wait for their interviews in various parts of the country and big cities? What are the conditions like and the situations like for Central American migrants there?
It depends on the region, but we've seen a lot that it's very dangerous. First, you have people that are fleeing a lot from poverty, but a lot for their lives. There's not enough resources going around for people, so there's people starving out there. There's people sleeping out in the streets. There's people freezing, and there's people susceptible to violence out there. I mean, they can't go back to where they came from. So what the government sometimes is doing is sending them back. Maybe telling them that they're going one place when they're actually going to another, and it's way far away from where they're supposed to be going for court. So if they're on the U.S.-Mexico border, and then they're tricked into going down to the southern border of Mexico near Guatemala, and then they're far away, they miss their camp date, and it's the U.S. and Mexico governments working together to try to thwart that.
And James, flights for deportees began today. Some may be sent to Guatemala. This is part of an asylum deal that's been made between the Trump administration and Guatemala, I believe. Tell us more about how this deal actually works and what it means for migrants who are trying to get to the US.
I am not well versed in that recent situation right there with flying people to Guatemala, but if they're fleeing from, that's one of the countries people are fleeing from. And if they're going to Mexico on their way up to try to get to the US, sending them back, that's not anywhere safer than where they've been.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thanks very much for that, James. James Cordero for us there from Border Angels.